Every day on this channel, Jacob goes through everything Elon Musk said on X over the last 24 hours. Jacob's still on break, so I'm filling in for him today, so let's get right into it. As you can see, it mainly focused on politics and Netflix, but there was also a huge announcement regarding XAI. Alright, so starting with XAI, Elon Musk quoted XFreeze, saying, Grokopedia, the world's first open source knowledge repository, free from propaganda and biased narratives. The knowledge you can trust. Grok, understand the universe, truth-seeking AI. And X, a platform that defends free speech at the highest level. It stands up for your rights, and it pushes back against government overreach. And you can see that trifecta that Elon created right here. And Elon quoted that saying, essential. He also quoted Doge Designer saying, Grok. And Doge Designer said, XAI's Grok dominates the latest open router charts. Grok 4 Fast and Grok Code Fast take the number 1 and number 2 spots in daily usage. XAI leads with the largest market share. Grok Code Fast 1 also ranks number 1 in programming, and you can see that right here. Similarly, XFreeze says, Grok 4 Fast hits with an astonishing 171 billion tokens in a single day. No other model comes close. Grok now holds the highest daily usage on Open Router. You can see that 171 billion tokens a day. And Elon says, Grok is number 1. Tetsuya posted how you can use a Grok project, have it search for relevant research, and attach good ones to your project because Grok can parse PDFs. You can interact with the model and it'll have direct knowledge of your research. And you can see that here. Tetsuya uploaded these PDFs and then asked, based on your knowledge, please write me a blog post about deep reinforcement learning for autonomous driving. And there's that blog post. And Elon reposted that. He also posted about using Grok on X by just clicking the upper right of every post to find out if something was true. And Grok can even turn it into a limerick. Mike Benz asked Grok to create a limerick about Harvard and Lahore, and that'll be important later. And that culminated in this limerick. There once was a twat named Lahore, whose Harvard gig made us all sore. She shake her fake tit, was spouting queer shit. Now Ivy League's just a dump hole. So, all the new usages for Grok and its insane power culminates in this post by Matteo Jin, who said, calling all gamers. I'm hiring for a video game tutor at XAI. Check out the role. And Elon said, I volunteer, with a smiley face. This role specializes in video games, with the goal of contributing to XAI's mission by training and refining Grok to excel in video game concepts, mechanics, and generation. This person needs to have high proficiency in game design, particularly in indie game development, as well as all these other qualifications, such as the ability to test and evaluate AI-generated video games for functionality, creativity, engagement. They need proficiency in analyzing game content with strong skills in gameplay critique and iterative improvement. They need an ability to reference game development tools, trends, and examples for precise annotations. They need strong communication, interpersonal, analytical, and creative skills, and a commitment to developing AI that advances video game innovation. And they're compensated with $45 to $100 per hour. And Tech Dev Notes reposted these qualifications saying XAI is hiring for video games, and Elon said, true. Moving on to Starlink, Tetsuya said, what's stopping you from using Starlink to code from the top of a mountain? And they posted this of them coding from the top of a mountain. Truly amazing what Starlink allows. And Elon reposted that. Alright, now on to Tesla. Elon posted that the Tesla Cybertruck beat a 911 while towing a 911, which means it can carry a 911 faster down a quarter mile and the Porsche can travel by itself. You guys may remember this video of the Cybertruck beating the 911 while towing a 911. Sawyer Merritt revisited Robotaxi, and this was his summation. He said, the first ride was 3 miles, 12 minutes, and about $3.96 for the whole ride, or $1.32 per mile. His second ride was 3.62 miles, 16 minutes, and $4.62 for the whole ride, or $1.27 per mile. And he had no issues during either rides. You can see here a clip of the Robotaxi going as it gracefully maneuvers around that bus. He also mentioned how his experience has really gotten better since the last time, saying, the Tesla Robot app experience has improved a lot since I was last in Austin in June. For multiple pickup point options, estimated time to walk to each pickup point, adding a new stop at the end of your ride, finding the Robotaxi with an arrow, the ride showing up automatically, locked, etc. So much better. And you can see those pickup points right here. Elon reposted both these posts from Sawyer Merritt, likely saying that he agrees with these improvements. He also reposted Viv, who said, I don't own a TV because I have a Cybertruck. Much better sound system and immersive movie experience. And along the idea of Tesla replacing normal staples like a TV. Sawyer Merritt also posted about how Tesla's diner sold as many hamburgers in Q3 as the average McDonald's does in the US, despite the diner having only opened July 21st, and Tesla's burgers costing about 2 times as high because they have higher quality ingredients. They sold an average of 704 burgers per day. Here's a picture of that Tesla burger costing $13.50. He quoted himself saying Tesla has revealed that they sold 50,000 Tesla diner burgers in Q3, generating $675,000 in revenue. Oh, and some charging stats, and he went on to show these stats. And Elon reposted this post. Also, Tesla Europe and Middle East said in September, 1 out of 3 cars sold in Norway was a Tesla, and Elon reposted that. And finally, Omar said, you ever notice when $ Tesla is falling, everyone blames Elon, but when it's mooning, very people thank him? And Elon agreed with that, saying it's right on the money. There was also this clip from SMX, who said, why is Amazon Prime allowing content that incites violence towards Elon Musk? In Gen 5 Season 2, Episode 4, there's a disturbing scene where the villain, Dean Cypher, makes Mary practice her blood power on a goat named Elon Musk. Eventually, the goat explodes. The problem isn't just the gore. The real issue is the choice to name the goat Elon Musk. That means Amazon Prime is deliberately using Musk's name, one of the most famous real people alive, in a grotesque context, tying his identity to animal cruelty, mockery, and gore. I didn't want to show the video of it exploding, but if you want to see it, I've linked it in the description. Elon's response to that was, that's fine. I blew up a small hot dog called Jeff Bezos, so I guess we're even. Also, Zishan Patel said 10 years ago it was exciting to see that AI can recognize different types of cats, and today we have AI systems that can generate new realities within seconds. In a few years, it'll be normalized for most of the digital content that people consume to be AI generated. This is why it is the utmost care to build a truth-seeking AI. It must be at the core of the path towards building super intelligent systems that will ultimately benefit humanity and expand the boundaries of human knowledge. And Zishan Patel is an ex-AI engineer. Elon's response to that was absolutely. Finally, Seth Dillon said, the belief that this only happens by exploitation is so absurd. Wealth of this magnitude is an indication of the incalculable value that has been created for the entire world. Instead of resenting the rich, it's better to think of their gain as our gain. And if anything, it should inspire others to take bold risks and create something of value. And this is in response to SMX saying, Elon just became the first person in the world to achieve a $500 billion net worth. He is the one and only member of the 500 billion exclusive club, and he is projected to be the world's first trillionaire. And you can see Elon here in front of Larry Ellison, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos. And Elon said, I built a lot of things with awesome people, and the companies that build those things get assigned a big value, showing that wealth is indicative of good performance. And the Netflix saga continues, with Elon motivating tons of people to cancel their Netflix subscription. Jack says that he hasn't watched Netflix in months, and for some reason it took all day to get my account just to cancel it. But he got it done, and he's never going back. And you should as well. You can see here, this is where he canceled his membership. Looks like tons of people are doing this. And for those of you who are unaware, this is in response to transgender propaganda that isn't just quietly lurking in the background on Netflix. They're actively pushing it onto their users. And then James Esses quotes this article talking about shows that honor transgender and non-binary people for Trans Day of Visibility. Here's that article right here. And Elon reposted that, saying true. He also agreed with another post from James Esses, which says Netflix is an activist outfit hellbent on ideological indoctrination. As part of its fund for creative equity, it has now given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Transgender Film Center in order to bring more trans stories to the world. And you can see here, this is the Transgender Film Center. AKA asks, who else has canceled their Netflix account? And Elon says, me. He also replies to Emily DeLuca saying, have you canceled Netflix yet? And he said, yes. He also quoted XFreeze saying, this goes way beyond canceling Netflix. This is you fighting back and taking a stand. This is you saying this is what happens when you come after my kids. This is what you get when you force this insanity on us. This is you declaring, I'm done with this crap. Enough is enough. Go woke, go broke. And you can see from this picture, tons of people are canceling their Netflix. And Elon said, yes. He also agreed with the Benny Johnson clip, saying that the real reason Netflix cancellation campaign has gone so viral is because Netflix is sexualizing children by packaging explicit, graphic, radical sex topics as children's entertainment. What Netflix is doing goes beyond culture war. It's immoral, and it should be illegal. He also reposted libs of TikTok saying, does Netflix condemn? Says no. This should tell you everything that you need to know. And this is in response to Landon Starbuck, who had this conversation with Netflix customer service, saying, does Netflix support BLM? I was thinking about subscribing, but it's important to me that you support BLM. Netflix says, yes, we support BLM, and we have contents about it. They then said, do you support pedophilia? Does Netflix support pedophilia? Netflix says, Netflix does not have on the service. And they said, but does Netflix condemn pedophiles? And Netflix says, no. Robbie Starbuck posted the same thread and said, something is wrong with Netflix. And Elon put 2 exclamation points. Seth Dillon said, it should be criminal to target and groom children into the gender cult. Big thank you to Libs of TikTok for fighting from this for the beginning. And Libs of TikTok had just posted how the Babysitters Club was pushing transgenderism on kids. And this clip shows the doctor telling one of the female kid patients that she's a man. Also, Graham Linehan posted his cancellation confirmation, saying that he's going to be canceled on Monday, October 2025. Elon quoted that saying, cancel Netflix. He also reposted that same clip from the Babysitters Club saying, cancel Netflix once again. And Elon showed how 100% of Netflix employees donate to the Democrat Party, showing that right here. And finally, Maya Poet said, after 12 years of being transgender and spending my youth permanently damaging my body with breast binding, I realized that I was born in the right body after all. Repost if you think no one is born with the wrong body. And Elon reposted that. And finally, politics, which can be broken down into 3 main categories. The first and foremost is the government shutdown. The second one is migrant crime. And the last one is England politics. Starting with the government shutdown, Mays said Gavin Newsom tried free healthcare for illegal immigrants. Here's how it turned out. And he shows these 2 contrasting clips, one from 2022, the other from 2025. So here are those clips.
We are manifesting this principle, this fundamental notion that so many of us have been preaching for years and years and years: universal health care for all, regardless of pre-existing condition, regardless of the ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status.
Now, Newsom says California is facing a $12 billion deficit. Governor is proposing freezing enrollment in state-funded health care for undocumented immigrants.
You know, when the program started, it was supposed to cost about $3 billion a year, and that ballooned to $11 billion last year.
And Elon reposted that. He also reposted this from the America PAC, which was a quote from President Trump saying, Republicans must use this opportunity of Democrat forced closure to clear out dead wood, waste, and fraud. Billions of dollars can be saved. He also reposted Gunther Eagleman, who said, never forget. Obama shut the government down for 17 days in 2013 to force Obamacare. Just a friendly reminder. And he responded to that saying, oh yeah, seemingly he remembers that. He also reposted Scott Jennings, who said, for years, Democrats have unapologetically argued for putting illegals on Medicaid. Several Dem governors have already done it. Why lie about it now? The American people aren't fooled. I don't give an inch on CNN in my latest debate. And he highlights this debate in which he took on the CNN anchors over the issue of the government shutdown. He also thought this was funny. It was this thread from Al Franklin saying, is J.D. Vance a liar or just woefully ignorant when claiming the Democrats want to give health benefits to undocumented immigrants? And then Dr. Richard Harambe says, you tell me. And this clip shows every Democrat raising their hand in the 2019 debate on whether they would give free healthcare to undocumented immigrants. Elon also busted the Democrats, responding to Eric Daughtry saying, holy crap! Hakeem Jeffries regrets going on CNN. Jake Tapper just embarrassed him. Tapper, it's a lie, but what you support does bring back funding for emergency Medicaid to hospitals, which pays for undocumented immigrants, and a provision for people seeking asylum and temporary protected status. Non-citizens, why even include that?
What you support does bring back funding for emergency Medicaid to hospitals, some of which does pay for undocumented immigrants.
He also reposted the White House saying, Republicans must use this opportunity of Democrat forced closures to clear out dead wood. And this is in keeping with his idea of Doge. And he also reposted the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as Doge, with this little emoji. Alright, now on to migrant crime. Eric Daughtry posted how there's national outrage, which is breaking out after an Indianapolis man, Courtney Booz, was just charged with attempted murder and battery on an officer, having nearly 100 prior arrests. What exactly are we paying India's prosecutor and judges for? State Representative Andrew Ireland said. He's currently facing 9 charges and was taken into custody following a stabbing at a gas station, leaving a man in critical action. And this is him right here. Elon's response was, enough is enough. Then he went on to repost Pam Bondi, who said in just 48 hours, Our Memphis Safe Task Force has made 53 arrests and seized 20 illegal firearms. Yesterday, a missing juvenile was located and 3 firearms were recovered at the home of the murder suspect. At President of the United States' direction, we are making America safe again. He reposted MAGA Voice, who was quoting Elon from earlier, who said, "We need to hold judges and DAs responsible for releasing vicious murders on innocent victims. I agree with Elon Musk." And this is a picture of the girl who was murdered by the repeat offender. He also responded to Alex Bruzewicz, who said Stephen Miller is one of MAGA's most powerful voices and thought leaders. And this is in response to Stephen Miller saying, "This is not just a strategy shift, this is an attitude shift. We are not going to live in an environment anywhere where there's a street that belongs to a criminal, where there's a neighborhood that belongs to a gang. The idea that there is a square inch of block in this city where a citizen doesn't feel safe is unacceptable. This is Memphis. This is the United States of America. And all that bullshit is done." And Elon's reply was yes. And in keeping with crime, he reposted this from Daniel, who said, "Public drug use is not someone's personal choice with only personal effects. It creates high-stake, desperate situations where people get hurt and killed." Elon reposted JD Vance saying, "If you go back to what Bill Clinton was saying, even Barack Obama, what he was saying about illegal immigration 10, 15, 20 years ago, you would put them on MAGA right, based purely on illegal immigration." And this was from the America PAC. Sean Davis said, "The heckler's veto has now been replaced by the assassin's veto. The operation goes something like this. A leftist threatens violence against a conservative, a left-wing institution refuses to do anything to protect the conservative, and then the institution refuses to host the conservative, saying it can't keep the conservative safe." And this is in response to Jonathan Turley talking about how NYU canceled a Federalist Society event with Isla Shapira, which was scheduled for October 7th, citing the possibility of protests. And Elon reposted Sean Davis. Turning Point UK posted, "Boycott the BBC. Turning Point UK protest outside BBC's London headquarters in opposition for the BBC calling our founder, Charlie Kirk, far right. We will not be silenced." And Elon reposted this video. Moving on to Britain, AELB says, "European-born outside American, evil colonizer. Non-European born in Europe, totally European. Two-tier caste system." And Elon pointed out how that's a bizarre inconsistency. It looks like this post puzzled him from Freedomain, who said if Indians set foot in England and become English, then the English who set foot in India become Indian. Therefore, English did not rule India. There is no such thing as colonization. QED. He reposted Konstantin Kisin, who said, "When I got my first visa to come to Britain, it had a stamp on it which said, 'No recourse to public funds.' It never occurred to me that this was wrong or unfair. Non-citizens should have access to benefits, social housing, etc. Pay your way or make way for someone who will." Valentina Gomez said, "The new Hitler is Keir Starmer. If you rape a child and you're Muslim, nothing happens. If you're English and post online against illegals and rapists, you get sent to prison for years. The rape of England is happening due to the police following orders." And this is a clip of her saying it. And Elon reposted that. Matt Van Swoll said, "I'm officially Republican. I'm off the sidelines." And he showed how he changed to Republican. And Elon put an American flag. He also put an American flag to this from Rob Smith, who said, "I was a black gay United States infantryman, an expert marksman. I also regularly passed my fitness test with flying colors. I was fully capable, as are other minorities. Hegseth understands that standards aren't discrimination, but you don't." And this is in response to John Harwood saying, "Pete Hegseth has made clear that if he had his way, the U.S. military would have no blacks in leadership positions and no women at all." John Harwood also said people who insist Biden will pardon Hunter after specifically ruling it out are telling on themselves. They can't imagine someone acting on principle and keeping his word. In case you weren't aware, President Joe Biden announced that he in fact pardoned his son Hunter. And Elon reposted that from Jacktron. He also gave 2 American flags to Jacob Turner, saying he's the TPUSA chapter president in Concordia, and for 2 years he's fought to get the chapter recognized. Bureaucracy and stonewalling made me give that up at one point. But after Charlie's passing, I found a fire I've never felt before. A real revival is happening on my campus. He resubmitted his chapter for approval to carry out Charlie's vision at TPUSA, and the university made it clear they would deny us again. Why? Because I won't publicly denounce the professor's watch list, an educational tool that lets students know who the Marxist professors are so they can plan their course load accordingly. Let me be clear. I will not denounce the watch list. I will not be silenced. I will not let Charlie's legacy die on this campus. This isn't just about TPUSA. It's about truth and freedom. And it looks like Elon's going to war with the SPLC, which is a Southern nonprofit specializing in civil rights and public interest litigation. And he said, The SLP is an evil organization that spreads hate propaganda relentlessly and needs to be shut down. And Josh Steinman said, Director Patel, please consider eliminating the Bureau's relationship with the SPLC next. And Elon emphasized how important this was. James Wood said, and this is why the freaks murdered him. And this is a post of Charlie Kirk saying, if you're 18 and you think you're the opposite sex, you're having a mental illness. And if you're 8 and you're thinking you're the opposite sex, your mother has a mental illness. And Elon responded, yes. Mary Catherine Ham said, it's not happening. It's happening, but it's not a big deal. You are here. And this is in response to Ro Khanna admitting that the Democrats are asking for money to give illegals, and Elon reposted that. Ali Beth Stuckey said, I can't believe Charlie's gone. It's so freaking sad, man. So sad. And Elon said, yeah. Defiant L says, we can't forget about this one. And this is a post of the murder of George Floyd, the killing of Irina Zarutska, and the shooting of Charlie Kirk, emphasizing how the murder is only used in the case of George Floyd. And Defiant L says, we can't forget about this one. Grokopedia is the way. And Elon says, yes. Also, Tetsuya said, would judges still grant bail or early release to people if it meant the judge would be charged with a crime if that person were to be reoffended? And Elon says, this is a great idea. Elon responded to Chef Nerd, who said, we're spending in the city of Los Angeles $900,000 per year on each homeless person that we're removing from the streets. Chamath said $900,000 per year, and that was crazy. Elon's response was the NGOs are paid almost $1 million a year per homeless person, so their incentive is therefore super high to maximize the number of homeless people and never do anything that reduce their number, like stopping the sale of fentanyl. Whatever you incentivize will happen. Elon quoted Defiant L's, who said, never forget. And this is the FDA saying getting vaccinated is the best way to avoid the worst outcome of COVID. And then the FDA now saying, today FDA provided important updates on the risk of myocarditis after receiving an mRNA COVID vaccine, noting the risk is higher in young men. Finally, moving on to the ADL, Sean Davis said that the ADL maliciously defamed at FDR-LST in 2022 and tagged us as hateful, extreme, or terrorists. The ADL is unreliable, dishonest, left-wing hate group that no serious person should take seriously. And Elon reposted that. He also responded with 2 American flags to Kash Patel, who said James Comey wrote love letters to the ADL and embedded FBI agents with them, a group that ran a disgraceful op spying on Americans. That era is over. This FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs. Representative Anna Pauline Luna says, why is @PayPal partnering with the ADL? Showing this about how PayPal partners with the ADL to fight extremism and protect marginalized communities. And Elon said, good question. He also emphasized this from Glenn Greenwood, who said the ADL has bullied and coerced huge numbers of institutions to take orders from it about whose views should be deemed extremist and thus prohibited, and who shouldn't. As but one example, PayPal uses the ADL to decide who should be expelled from using its services. Alright, now I said this would be important later, but last but not least, the name is on point, says Elon Musk. And this is in response to Ryan Saavedra, who said, this is real. Harvard hires drag queen named Lahore Vagenstein as a visiting professor. So now you guys know what that limerick was about. So that was everything Elon Musk said today. I love seeing the practical application of Grok, such as in fact-checking tweets or doing research projects, and I think the use of Grok in developing games is super exciting. Additionally, it seems like the Tesla Diner is really successful, beating out McDonald's, and I'd love to try their food one day. Also, I'm curious on the impact Elon's having on Netflix subscriptions as people are mass unsubscribing. All that to say, thank you so much for watching. I'm still settling in and getting used to editing these videos, so if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments, and I'll be back tomorrow for one last video. And as always, if you'd like to support this channel, join this channel as a member or simply subscribe. And I am out.